So we're going to talk about another president and his actions. President George Weah of Liberia. He is currently out of the country. He left at the beginning of November. And by the time he returns in December, he would have been out and away for more than 40 days. It has caused huge uproar, with critics saying it's irresponsible given the economic difficulties the country is facing. Senator Darius Dillon says he is going to raise the issue at Senate, but Mr. Weah's supporters and allies say the trip is all in the country's interests, calling it a diplomatic campaign to garner aid. So let's hear from the two sides. First, the senator opposed to the trip, Senator Darius Dillon.
The law here requires that when the president of Liberia leaves the country or has a reason to leave the country, he must inform the legislature, and that information should contain the purpose of his trip out of the country, the duration of the trip, and when he will return, and who will remain in charge of the cabinet in his absence. And we have a travel of ordinance here that says beyond 7 days, any public official, including the president, will have to be responsible to shoulder his or her extension of stay out of the country.
So if they're away for longer than 7 days, what has to happen?
If you go beyond 7 days, you are responsible for your own per diem, hotel, and lodging and feeding, including incidental. If what you spend on your extended stay is in the interest of the country and you can show proof with documentation upon your return, then you can make the case for refund. As it is now, the president has not demonstrated to us that his extension of stay to watch FIFA football games could any benefit to this country. And so I'm asking the Liberian Senate to probe an investigation, to launch a legislative probe into the information provided by the president, because our information with evidence attached to it that the president misled the Liberian people through the Liberian Senate that the Paris Peace Forum was extended. Our information, which we attached to our communication to the Senate, has proven that the Paris Peace Forum in France was never extended, for which the president has extended his stay in Qatar to watch football games when it has nothing to do with Liberia.
So you're saying that the president stayed in Qatar for longer so that he could go from Qatar to Paris to the Peace Forum?
The president had written earlier to the effect that he was attending the Paris Peace Forum from December 9 to the 15th, from November 9 to the 15th, and that from the 15th of November to the 23rd of November, he will be attending FIFA World Cup as guest of FIFA. The president wrote a subsequent communication to inform the Senate that the Paris Peace Forum was extended. The duration of that peace forum in Paris from the 9th to the 15th was extended up to the 18th of November. That information has turned out to be untrue, misleading, and for which the president says he's extending his stay in Qatar because his original schedule to be in Paris for the Paris Peace Forum was scheduled originally from the 9th of November to the 15th.
Okay, can I ask you this? It's just 3 days. Why is it such a big deal?
It's a big deal because the forum was never extended. So that means the misleading information must be investigated. We need to know at all times where the president of Liberia is, especially on the foreign travel. When the president says he will be at a particular place at a particular time on government money, and it is found out formally to be untrue, it warrants investigation.
So you're introducing a bill to instigate a probe into the president's trip.
It is a formal communication calling the attention of the Senate with reasons for which a probe must be launched, for the Senate to take the appropriate corrective measures where necessary after the probe.
Okay, so the president is saying that all these trips are to drum up business and support for Liberia, and that presidents do this kind of thing. They go out of the country to go and do business, to bring business back into the country.
How is watching FIFA games where his son is playing brings back anything to the country for over 15 days? How? Who's funding this trip? At whose expense? To what benefit to the country? Shouldn't we know this information? Should we know these facts?
That's Senator Darius Dillon there. And now, Mr. Weah's defender, Eugene Nagbe, former information minister and currently close advisor to President Weah.
Mr. President's travel was totally in the interest of the people of Liberia to try to garner support for some of the infrastructure projects that we are doing. and also to engage other world leaders. So that's the sum total of his tour. About this probe, I think the senator, as usual, is showboating. He's not going to table anything. But if he does, it will result to naught. The president, as a tradition in Liberia, informs the legislature when he's traveling and catalogs the extent of his travel and the purposes of the travels.
Well, Mr. Dillon doesn't deny that the president is going out of the country and might need to garner support, business, etc. What he's questioning is that the president has misled the country. Has the president misled the country concerning concerning the Paris Peace Forum?
He has not, because the president visited to Paris each and every day. He arrived in Paris after leaving Sharm el-Sheikh at midnight, and then on the 9th, and then the Peace Forum started on the 11th, and the president stayed until the 18th. On the 15th, he has several other meetings after the forum. The assumption by the senator is that once the first and second day of the forum is over, then it is all done. It is very misleading.
Something that people are particularly concerned about is that the finance minister said that the president is entitled to up to $2,000 a day for incidentals. For a lot of people, they feel that Liberia could spend that money much better elsewhere.
And this is why Mr. President does not take $2,000, though he's entitled to take $2,000 a day on our travel ordinance. He has not taken a cent. And every time the president travels, there is a fiscal out-time report that is done. And you can see that though he's entitled to that, he has not touched it.
So who's paying for the entire trip?
Some parts of the trips were not paid for by the Liberian government. For example, at the May Days Forum to Morocco, it was fully paid for by the organizers. They sent a plane that took the president to Morocco, and the same plane took him to Sharm el-Sheikh. So it saved the Liberian people some money.
One of the things that people say is that the budget law is being violated here. The president is meant to have presented the budget, and he hasn't yet. The national census is in disarray. The country, they say, needs leadership and doesn't have it because the president, as far as they are concerned, is gallivanting.
The problems in Liberia that the president inherited that he is fixing now has been so huge that he has to behave in a different way than normal. It's unfortunate to call a president who has now attracted over $175 million on one trip as gallivanting. Personally, there has been no constitutional crisis because of the president's travel. There were some hiccups in the census, but now the census is proceeding very well.
So tell me this. The president's son is playing for America. Why is he not playing for Liberia?
He's above 18 and he has lived most of his life in America, and he made a decision that we all support. But Mr. Tim Weah is also a Liberian citizen by birth. So we all are celebrating his progress. And for us in Liberia, that has very close ties with the United States, is a very good thing for us.
When will the president be back?
The president is currently now in Monaco, and he's after a year he's going to the U.S. and then he'll come back to Liberia on the 18th of December after the Biden African Summit.
And that is Eugene Nagbe, former information minister and advisor now to President George Weah of Liberia. You're listening to Focus on Africa on the BBC World Service. It's coming up to 17:20 Greenwich Mean Time.